Hey everybody, Coach Abel here, and I'm going on a little bit of a rant today, and I'll tell you why, and hopefully it makes sense to you, and I look forward to your comments or your feedback, whatever you might think. But recently, I posted something on social media regarding the subject of being overweight. The post was along the lines that sometimes it's your heavy thoughts and heavy emotions that are what lead to heavier body weight. And after that, someone commented in the comment section that that post seemed to be fat shaming, and then a lot of people agreed with that comment, even though that couldn't have been further from the truth of the post or the intention of the post. And that's what I want to talk about right now. This is not fat shaming at all. And I want to get to some examples that point out just how ludicrous this is, how ridiculous this is. And, I'm going to use a bunch of examples below, but it just seems to me that some people just want to troll around social media to go out of their way to look for things to be offended over. And sometimes it's justified, sometimes it isn't, and sometimes it's just ridiculous. So, just because the subject of being overweight comes up and is discussed in detail, that does not automatically translate into being fat shaming, as if any discussion of the subject matter is fat shaming. Now, as I go on here below, I'm going to make several comparisons to illustrate my point about all this nonsense that anything that discusses being overweight is automatically fat shaming. This idea in and of itself is ridiculous. I'll give you the first example that came into my mind as a former social worker. If I discuss the risks and consequences of heroin addiction or methamphetamine addiction, am I therefore addiction shaming? If you talk about the realities of the scenario, look, many of the people who write to me for help struggle with weight. And too much extra weight has health consequences, especially as you age. That is the reality of it, and there is nothing shaming about that reality. It is a fact about health, and health has important ramifications for well-being. So before I get right into this, let me say that I think a person should always like themselves. You should always like who you are. And in my experience, coaching experience going on 5 decades now, people who do not like who they are the ones who are most susceptible to body image issues, as body image becomes self-image at any weight or body type. Now, look, I've had clients with body image issues who were not overweight at all. They were skinny fat, but they still fell within a very normal and healthy body weight range for their age and height, but they still weren't happy with their bodies or how they looked. So body shaming can exist in any type of body type. I see it all the time, and it is usually self body shaming, which ironically enough is one of the things I try to coach out of people so they can feel better about themselves and live better within themselves. So it's very frustrating when someone accuses me of fat shaming, but I'll get into that. Now, on the other side of that equation, I get people seeking my help because they already like who they are and they already like their life. They just want to lose weight to feel better and be healthier, and there's no shaming of others in that equation either. Now, a while back, I'll give you an example. A while back, there was a big social media dust up surrounding Adele's weight loss, and the whole thing was ridiculous. People were writing me, asking me to weigh in and chime in, etc., etc. And it was ridiculous to me when I read some of the comments. To point out her weight loss and comment that she looks great is not automatically fat shaming others. And she doesn't need to answer endlessly on why she chose this path either. And anyone who makes any choice to feel better and be healthier should be allowed to make that choice and not have to defend it to total strangers. And I see this all the time. Even in my own life, Aussie Ange, who lost over 60 pounds and has kept it off for well over a decade now, made that choice, and she shouldn't have to answer to other people. And when I post before and after pictures of her, it's not fat shaming other people to do that. It's absolutely ridiculous. So speaking of celebrities, this makes me think of the cosmetic surgery industry. Like the weight loss industry, it's also a multi-billion-dollar per year industry. So are all doctors and cosmetic surgeons, are they ugly shaming if they choose this career path? Does one thing infer the other? Similarly, are celebrities who show up at reward shows and such every year, who have obviously had extensive cosmetic work done, are they also ugly shaming? Are they age shaming by getting Botox and taking out the wrinkles and all the rest of it? Here is another example. If I make a choice to educate myself in any given subject, I am not automatically at the same time, therefore, dumb shaming other people who do not. So this is where it starts to get ridiculous that one thing implies the other. And it doesn't. As I said, it starts to get to the point of nonsense. Here's another example. If someone gets a divorce to be better and be healthier because they were in a very unhealthy relationship, are they now marriage shaming just by mere inference? So you can see, if you use other examples, how ridiculous that notion becomes. Now, I want to get real about getting real here. COVID-19 has brought a particular health crisis, overweight and obesity, and lifestyle into very specific focus. People are writing me who are scared. They're so overweight, their doctors are now warning them that they have to lose weight. A very large percentage of coronavirus deaths and hospitalizations outside of the elderly were people who were overweight or obese and had pre-existing conditions because of their weight. These are reality numbers and facts, not shaming. Talking about this reality and the facts of this reality is not shaming other people. Here is another example that pops into my head. Statistics, I just ran across this the other day doing some research. Statistics that say people who live in metropolitan areas tend to be more stressed than people who do not. Do those numbers equate to urban shaming? We need to get real about getting real. Overweight people are writing me seeking help. Their blood markers as they age show that they are not healthy and they don't feel great either. The shame, if there is any to be had, would be in living in denial of that and pretending it's not true. Then there are all the personal limitations of being overweight to consider as well. I have overweight people writing me who have one or more of any of these conditions. They have bad backs, bad knees. They're diabetic or pre-diabetic. They have high blood pressure, sleep apnea, bad cholesterol levels, clogged arteries, chronic joint pain. A few have had heart attacks. Some have had stents put into their heart. And they have joint pain, chronic joint pain from overall inflammation. The mirror is the least of their worries on why they're writing me. They are so limited that they can't even enjoy simple things. Some people write me who are overweight, they haven't been on a vacation in years. They have pain and inflammation. I'll give you two examples, both from where I go to Aruba every year. I can remember two specific examples that stick out about the limitations of being overweight by a large margin. One year when I was in Aruba, I was talking to the same lady for several days by the pool, a lounge chair where I put all my belongings early in the morning so I have somewhere to ground myself and then go off to the beach. And she was an overweight lady, older, in her 60s, asked me if I would walk her down to the water because she hadn't been to the ocean yet, even though it was only 100 feet away from the pool. I couldn't believe it. But because of her weight, she had bad knees and a bad back, and she was worried that a wave might knock her into the water and she wouldn't be able to get back up, and she asked me if I would walk her down to the water. This is after several days of being there. She still hadn't been to the Caribbean Ocean, which is why she had gone there. Instead, she's stuck at the pool all day, and the beautiful ocean was only 100 feet away. So I walked her down there. I thought she was going to cry. I walked her into the water. She held my arm. She got her feet in the sand. She couldn't believe it. She couldn't believe she had been missing out on that for the days that she had been there. That's not fat shaming. That's pointing out the reality of being overweight and what it leads to and the limitations that can be profound in someone's life. My previous last year were in Aruba. Another example that came to mind was sitting by the pool in a lounge chair, and a gentleman just down a bit in another lounge chair, very overweight, very obese, at least 300, 350 pounds. All the power went out in the hotel and the surrounding area. And he was freaking out because he had to have his meds. He had all these meds and he was in a higher floor and he didn't know how he was going to get to his meds. There's no way he could walk up the stairs, and it was like he couldn't survive without his meds. He was just freaking out. Whereas it was ironic because to me, more often than not, because of where our room was situated, we chose to walk up and down the stairs rather than go out of our way to the elevator. It was just something we wanted to do. But here was a man who was freaking out that he was going to have some kind of medical episode because of his weight. He couldn't even make it up to his room by walking up a few flights of stairs. So don't tell me that any of this and any trying to help people solve the limitations that go along with being overweight, that it's fat shaming to even consider discussing the issue in a public forum. These people are limited and they reach out for help. I can think of another example where I live is absolutely gorgeous and beautiful, and I go for trail walks all the time that have some long, slight inclines and they have some steep inclines. And I know people who are overweight who couldn't even come and enjoy the wineries and the vistas and the views here because they couldn't go out and walk for 20, 30, 40 minutes, even on mild trails with mild hills, because of bad knees, bad backs, bad hips associated with being overweight. So these limitations are very real, and it's not shaming someone to point these things out, these limitations on people's lives that they want to get rid of. Now, I'm going to go in another direction here. Dr. Michael Clapper, 50 years of experience, medical experience, including internal medicine, has said this about obesity and being overweight. This is beyond a cosmetic issue. We should put that up on the screen. Other doctors in this area have said the same thing. Dr. David Katz, who talks about the slow killer versus the fast killer of coronavirus. Dr. Michael Greger, so many others. Dr. Klepper has stated this, and I quote, "Obesity is a state of inflammation, and if you are obese, you are not healthy, even if you claim otherwise." Again, none of this is fat shaming. This is the reality of what we now know. And let's be clear about something here as well. All of these doctors, just like myself as a coach and other really good coaches that I know, we aren't trying to shame anybody into anything. We are trying to help people be healthier and enjoy their lives more, and we're only trying to help people who want our help and reach out for it. To be accused of fat shaming is offensive. I liken it to accusing psychiatrists and counselors as being part of mental illness shaming. It makes no sense. We're attempting to help people who reach out for us for help, people who have real problems, issues, consequences, and limitations as a result of being overweight, and they're just sick and tired of being sick and tired. Some of my own clients that you've read about on my blog, people like Byron, who have got off their CPAP, sleep apnea machines and lost the weight. And over again in the literature, the overall issue is referred to literally as the obesity epidemic. And epidemics require treatment. There's no shaming in discussing the real life consequences of people with this condition. And if anyone sees weight loss as a mode of self-improvement and health improvement, that is a good thing and a positive thing. They should not have to answer for that choice. For making that choice, they should not have to answer for that in a public forum and then, ironically enough, be shamed for making this personal choice to improve their own health. All right? That's just absolutely mind-boggling to me to even suggest that. I've helped hundreds of people lose weight permanently, and their lives have improved, and their health has improved. Their blood markers of health have improved. They feel better. They get off their medications that were treating their ill health because of their weight. And if they happen to look better and have more self-confidence as a result of these things coming together, then who are any of you to label this as fat shaming? Here is the reality. Two or more things can be true at the same time. Yes, I agree 100% that endless bombardment of perfect bodies on social media and other places can make people feel bad about themselves if they are predisposed to feeling bad about themselves. And that is unfortunate, to be sure. But beyond six-pack abs and tight buns that are everywhere, putting that aside, being overweight, especially as we age, has health consequences, often serious health consequences, both individually and as an overall burden on the healthcare system, costing billions and billions and trillions of dollars. Having real discussions about this and trying to help people who choose to unburden themselves of excess weight, this is not fat shaming in any way, shape, or form. And to suggest that it is not only myopic, it's offensive. Whole scientific journals are devoted to the issue of obesity. There's even a journal named Obesity that I often cite as research when I'm doing my webinars, etc. Dr. Michael Greger has said specifically there are about 100,000 pieces of research on the topic of obesity every single year. That's how important it is of a topic to discuss academically, scientifically, and in real terms of the consequences individually and systemically in society. So let's get real about getting real. I'm here to help people who want my help. To suggest otherwise is absolutely ridiculous. This is not fat shaming. That's my rant. Let me know what you think below. I welcome intelligent commentary. Is that dumb shaming by me saying that? Maybe that's dumb shaming. I don't know. I hope you'll like and subscribe, and I hope you'll see that it's not fat shaming to discuss very real issues and choices that people make to better themselves. That's my rant, and I hope some of you will get it. Some of you will not. Some of you won't want to. It's all good. I'll see you all in the next video.